Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's coaching call. Today, we are talking all about profit efficiency and how to maximize every dollar that is coming into your med spa. So, this coaching call today is designed to help you uncover the profit that's already sitting inside of your business. We're not looking for new dollars here. These are the dollars that you're already earning, but you're not really keeping. Because here's the reality, and I see this every single day. Most med spas do not have a revenue problem. They have a profit efficiency problem. They are growing, but they're not scaling. They are busy, but they're not profitable. So they've got a full schedule, but they're not making any profit. They're bringing in cash, but it's leaking out faster than it's coming in. Profit efficiency is really about creating a business that is going to earn more because it runs better, not because your team is working harder. I think a lot of times I have conversations with practice owners and they say, like, my esthetician just isn't working hard enough. My injector isn't working hard enough. And they'll be 90% utilized. There's a profit leak in there. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter and auditing your systems. So, today, we're going to get really honest about what's driving that profit and what's quietly killing it. And I want to start by having you hear this message very, very clearly. Revenue is a vanity metric. That's the reality of it. Your revenue is a vanity metric. Profit is your sanity, but you guys, efficiency is your freedom. So that is the mindset shift that's going to separate the high performing med spa owners that I work with every single day from the ones that are barely breaking even. So let's dive into what this looks like. It's all going to start from a CEO shift. And again, we're going from busy to efficient. And that is going to start with the foundation, and that foundation is you. Because the truth is, you cannot fix inefficiency if you are inside of the treatment room. Another thing that I see way too common now is my high performing solopreneurs. They are also like they're injectors. They're only injectors. They're doing the front desk. They're doing the inventory. They're doing the management. You can't fix inefficiency when you're stuck in the treatment room. You're going to fix inefficiency from the boardroom. The most profitable med spas that I work with, whether they're doing $1 million a year, $8 million a year, they all have one thing in common. The owner is no longer working in the business. They are leading, and I say that word very heavily, they are leading on the business. So they're not working in the business, they are leading on the business. If you are still handling inventory, if you're still doing your chart audits for your providers, if you are chasing your front desk for reports every day, you are operating as a manager, you are not operating as a CEO. And CEOs, they are not chasing, I promise you that. CEOs are leading. So I want you to grab a notebook for a second, grab a sticky note, whatever's closest to you. And I want you to get really, really real with yourself. I want you to do a quick gut check with me. I want you to make two different columns. I want you to make column one, and I want you to write at the header of that, tasks that I do that make me money. Tasks that I do that make me money. Then in column number two, I want you to put tasks that I do that are wasting my time. If all of your activities in column two are like, in your wasting your time column are like confirming appointments, handling patient complaints, dealing with staff drama, this is your sign that you're too deep in the weeds. You are working in the business and not on the business. So efficient leaders, they are going to spend their time making what I like to call $1,000 an hour decisions. These are not $20 an hour decisions. Don't chase down your front desk for things. Systematize their process, implement SOPs, train, create videos so that way you can only say the message once, but it can be repeated if they need to review it. That one shift alone is what looking like, that is stepping into true CEO mode. That's what that looks like. Can you increase your take home by 50 to 20% this year? I want you to ask yourself that. Imagine you have 15 to 20% more in your pocket. That sounds pretty nice, right? This can happen if you step into the framework that we're going to talk about today. And it's all about profit efficiency, 15 to 20% more profit. And this is not from new patients. This isn't investing in getting more butts in seats. This isn't from new services, new devices, new providers. This is owning your role and profit efficiency to its nth degree. So let's get into what the three pillars of profit efficiency look like. So again, there are going to be three different pillars that are going to drive profit efficiency inside every single high performing med spa that I work with. Now, there are a couple more outliers, but these are the top three. So I want you to write these down. These are the framework that I use every single day for my seven-figure clients. So the first pillar is going to be your operational efficiency. Your operational efficiency is your invisible profit stream. I cannot stress this enough. If you are a consultant client of mine, you hear me say this almost every single day. When your systems are tight, your margins are going to rise automatically. Your operational efficiency is your invisible profit stream. If your operations are chaotic, then your efficiency is going to be chaotic as well. Your profit is going to be chaotic as well. I want you to ask yourself this. I want you to do an operational efficiency audit. And these are just going to be a few examples. Are my providers running on full schedules? Or are there weird holes in their calendar? An operational fix for that is going to be, okay, I need to develop an SOP on scheduling for my front desk. There shouldn't be an appointment at 9 a.m. and the next one at 5 p.m. and a huge gap for my injector to just sit there. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but try to create an SOP for that. Is my front desk converting calls, or are we losing potential bookings? What is your front desk conversion rate? Is every single patient attempted to be rebooked or nurtured for retention? Is my team knowledgeable on our internal SOPs? Are they aware that there are SOPs for them to follow for certain action items like checking patients in, checking patients out, running reports on your EMR, checking people, giving people rewards points for Ally or Aspire? Are they knowledgeable on your internal SOPs? Is my team completely trained on the EMR? That is a huge, huge, huge bottleneck that I see day in and day out. If your team is just kind of like flying blind on your EMR, it's going to mess up the reporting that I look at the end of the month. It's going to mess up your numbers. You're going to have a complete they're going to be in disarray. So if your team is not completely trained on your EMR, that's an operational efficiency. So I want you to take a look at that, because your efficiencies, they live in those gaps. And those are just a few examples of operational questions I want you to ask yourself. Because a 10% improvement in your front desk's call answer rate or rebooking percentage, that can easily mean six figures in additional revenue without spending an extra dollar getting new butts in seats. So with that being said, you may be thinking to yourself, I feel like I'm operationally efficient. Well, I want to give you some general benchmarks so that way we can see, are you operationally efficient? So your front desk, the call answer rate should be about 90% or higher. Their call answer rate, they should be answering about 90% of those phone calls. Your no-show rate should be under 5%. No-show rate should be under 5%. Your provider's utilization, so regardless whether it's an esthetician, an injector, a laser tech, all of your providers' utilization, your sweet spot is going to be that 85% booked. If they are over consistently 85 to 90% booked, then it is time to hire. Rebooking rate, that should be at minimum 65%. So if my clients, and we're looking at your KPIs at the end of the month, they know that if I see 65%, I'm like, ooh, we need to work on that we need to increase that. But that should be your general benchmark. That should be your bottom line. They should be at least 65% of all of your patients being rebooked. Now, I want to be very clear about that metric. This is a common question that I get, so I think it's worth noting. Rebooking rate can be really thrown off when you're selling packages and you're booking them all out at once, or patients are coming in for filler and they're not rebooking that service. So 65% to you might seem really low, but it's because when you're selling packages and you're booking them out the way that you should be, that's unfortunately going to reflect poorly on your rebooking rate. So 65% is going to be your benchmark there. So keep in mind those general benchmarks, because you guys, every single point below these numbers is lost profit. I promise you, I see it all the time. I want you to remember this. Operational excellence is not invisible to patients, and everything to your bottom line. If you have not secret shopped your practice yet, please do this. I try to do this at least twice a year for my clients, and I want you to have a systematic approach to it. Don't just ask your best friend Becky to go in because she's due for Botox and you want your best friend Becky to go in and secret shop your practice and see how your injectors are doing. Have a systematic approach to it. Have a form for them to fill out. I do this for my clients twice a year. They're expecting this form at this point. Even if they've never stepped foot into a med spa, they know exactly what I'm looking for. Was there a thorough consultation? What was the attitude of the front desk? Did they talk to you about financing or membership opportunities? Was there a personalized treatment plan that was given to you in the consultation? Was the risks and benefits of all the services in combination with each other explained to you properly in the conversation? The list goes on. I think it's like a 3-page document. So I love to secret shop my clients. I think it's incredibly impactful. And I cannot tell you how many times providers or even practice owners are telling me, oh, MJ, I give out treatment plans. No one wants to buy them. This is economic tough times. Like everyone is saying no. Then I secret shop their practice and there is no consultation being done at all whatsoever, let alone a treatment plan being given to the patients. I'm not going to make you turn on your camera, Jules, but Jules here at Diamond Accelerator, she just did an awesome, awesome, awesome secret shop for me. Anytime we have a Diamond girl in the area, I try to have them do it because we are so unbiased. We make sure that we give you constructive criticism. And her secret shopping experience with this client was just so impactful, so much so that the client was like, I trust my team so much. I cannot believe this. She did no consultation. She did not bring up retail. And Jules is trying her hardest to get this information out of the provider. Please talk to me about retail. I have melasma. Talk to me about what I can do. Nothing. She is basically begging this information out of her. And if I would have talked to that practice owner 20 minutes before that conversation, and I would have said, how do you think that your provider is going to handle this secret shop? I guarantee you, and she did actually say this, she's going to pass it with flying colors. She's been with me for 10 years. She never misses a beat. She follows my SOPs to a T. That is not what we found. So I need you to make sure, and it's not being sneaky. It's not like, it's just making sure that you're operationally excellent and that the things and the SOPs and the systems and the trainings that you're putting into place, they're actually following. Because you can, throw out the best SOPs in the world, but if they don't actually take advantage of them, you're not getting anywhere. So it's all about checks and balances, holding your team accountable. Please, please secret shop yourself if you haven't already. My last tip on that is pick someone who is not going to just give you like fluff. I try not to have family do it because they won't give you unbiased answers. Your family's going to go in and they're going to say, oh, MJ, it smelled so good in there. She was so nice. Everything was so wonderful. Thank you so much. I can't believe I got free Botox. We're looking for someone to tell us like it was beautiful, it was clean, it was really sterile. She took the appropriate steps, but she didn't ask me about my health history. She didn't ask me about my current skin regimen. I want people who can give you constructive criticism. So please secret shop yourself, audit your operational efficiency because that is going to be your invisible profit engine. So let's get to pillar number 2. Pillar number 2 is going to be your labor efficiency. I want you to turn your team into a profit center. Turn your team into a profit center. Labor is your biggest controllable expense. And when I say controllable, I mean it because labor can either destroy your margins or labor can drive your margins. So your goal, your benchmark here is going to be, I want you to keep your total labor costs at about under 30% of your gross revenue. If you are over 30%, one of these three things is usually happening there. So one, you're either overstaffed for your current utilization or your current revenue. You have too many team members for what your KPIs, what your utilization is telling me, or what your current revenue is telling me. Number 2, your pricing might be too low. So we might be adequately staffed, but our revenue isn't there. So we're over that 30% of gross revenue because our pricing is a little bit too low. Or 3, it typically can be like your team generally is not utilized efficiently. There's kind of a lot of downtime. They're not doing revenue generating activities in their downtime. So those 3 things, if you're over 30%, is usually what's happening there. Pretty quick way to audit yourself. So here's a rule that I try to teach every single one of my clients. Okay. Every provider needs to pay for themselves. They need to pay for themselves. So they also need to contribute at least 3 times what their cost is. So just to break it down, if you have an injector and you pay that injector $60 an hour, I want that injector to generate $180 an hour minimum. Okay, that's pretty low for an injector in general, but that's what I need them to do to pay for themselves, minimum and gross revenue. So let's think about like what the average benchmarks are, just so that you guys can get a good idea if your providers or your team members are paying for themselves. So your injectors, their benchmark should be about $700 to $1,200 an hour. Your estheticians should be about $250 to $500 an hour. And your laser tech should be anywhere from $700 an hour to $1,000 an hour. Now, we just had this conversation internally with Diamond, so I think it's worth noting here as well. Laser techs can be really skewed. Their revenue per hour can kind of be all over the place because if you have a true laser tech that is only firing a laser every day, let's say she also does IPL, that might be like $99. That's really going to bring her revenue per hour down. So she might not be hitting that 700. Maybe she's hitting more in like the 350 on average range because she's doing a ton of IPLs that are just bringing her metrics down. But if you have a laser tech who doesn't have those lower tickets, she's selling packages all day. She is firing that device at over 90% utilization. Her revenue per hour should be falling somewhere between $700 to $1,000 an hour. If your team is anywhere below those numbers, they do not need punishment. They need coaching, training, and accountability. I can't tell you how many times I go through when we're almost at that time of the month, of the end of the month, where we start going over KPIs. And I'll have a new client of mine say, like, oh, she didn't reach her goals. Like, how many times do I let her do this before I start writing her on a PIP? And I say, they don't need punishment because that's going to make them feel defeated when you're giving them these goals. A lot of these providers are not used to having goals in the way that the consultants at Diamond Accelerator give them. So they need coaching. They need tools in their toolbox to reach or exceed these goals. They need training. Maybe they need a little bit more training on the retail. If their retail is really, staying at a really low rate and I'm not seeing it move, they might just need the education on certain products to really move the needle. And ultimately, they really need accountability. It's important to me, and I always say this to my clients, be transparent with your metrics. It's okay if you don't want to show them like what the total revenue was for the entire practice. Sometimes that opens the door to a larger conversation, but I am someone where I really genuinely think if you open the door for your team members and let them in a little bit and show them the end goal and get some skin in the game and get them excited, that's going to be what they need to hold themselves accountable. Because if you don't show those metrics and they're flying blind, they have no idea where they're at in the month, they're never going to reach those goals because they don't know how close or how far away they are from reaching those. So I want to give you an example. I had a client whose injector, she just recently came to me. She was only generating about $400 an hour. Right away, I was like, this is a sales problem because she was 85% utilized. She was booked and busy. I was like, we have a sales problem here. So we did a sales and consultation training with her. I tightened up her authority building statement. You know, I love a good authority building statement, and her treatment plan recommendations. There was no take home treatment plan given to the patient. She at one point wrote it on a sticky note, or even worse, didn't write it out at all, did not give the patient pricing for anything. So we tightened up that process. Her revenue per hour jumped to 920 in 3 weeks. It is that easy. So sometimes it's your operations. Just take a look at it. She didn't need to be busier, and I don't even know how she would have the capacity to without skipping her lunch. She didn't need to be busier. She had a sales problem. She had an operations problem with no treatment plan form. So once we fine-tuned her authority building statement, I mean, that's a $520 jump in 3 weeks. I'm pretty happy with what I saw there. And she's only going up. So that example is profit efficiency in motion. That is no new patients. That is just better systems, trainings, coaching, and accountability. So let's get to the third pillar here. This is going to be your financial efficiency. This is going to be engineering your profit. Profit is not a surprise. You hear me say that every single time I hop on these Wednesday coaching calls. Your profit is not a surprise. It's designed. So there's a framework that I teach all of my clients. It's very simple and it's very powerful. Because usually on my onboarding calls, I hear my clients say like, I don't know where my money is going. I know we made a lot of money this month, and I see it on the KPIs and I see it, but when I look at my bank account, it is not there. I don't know where my money is. So this framework is very powerful because you're going to follow this and you're never going to wonder where your money is going. Again, this is your operating structure. So I like to go by the 10, 20, and 70 rule. 10, 20, 70. 10% of profit, 20% to taxes, and 70% to operations. So in order to do that, here is what I want you to do every single month. This is non-negotiable every single month. Number one, review your P&L. If you are a consulting client of mine, I am already doing this for you. If you feel like you're looking at your P&L every month, if you're not quite a client of ours yet and you're looking at your P&L and it looks like French and you have no idea what's on there, sign up. We'd be happy to take a look at that for you. Know your labor percentages. Very important. Remember, we're trying to keep it under 30%. Know your COGS. Know your COGS percentages. This is so crucial. I can't tell you how many people I've had conversations with this year, and they're like, MJ, I have no idea how much any of the services cost me. That's crazy. We have to know our numbers. Um, Number four, know your membership revenue percentages. Know your membership revenue. What's coming in? What percentage of patients that are coming in are your team able to convert into members? And the last one, so important, you already know what I'm going to say. Know your KPIs in general. Know your total revenue. Know your service revenue. Know your retail revenue. Because data that is delayed or data that you don't know is revenue denied. You cannot make decisions if you do not know your numbers. You cannot make decisions if you don't know your KPIs like the back of your hand. When I have clients that don't get me the KPI tracker filled out in time, I have very tough conversations with them. I would be doing you a disservice. I cannot help you make decisions if I don't have the data. And you, as a practice owner, should not be making decisions unless you have this data. So when you are seeing your numbers clearly, you can fix problems before they compound. I don't want you to, be at the very end of Q4 and realize, oh my gosh, I just pulled my numbers for the first time and we had a big problem all year on our hands. Pull them every single month and don't let them compound. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to plugging these leaks and building more of a predictable and efficient revenue. So there are going to be three hidden profit killers. So these are going to be the things that I find over and over and over again inside my clients' P&L. So number one is going to be your pricing leaks. If your cost per treatment eats more than 30% of your service price, your pricing is way too low. I would tell you, whoop, we're doing a price increase ASAP. We're not waiting until January. Your pricing leak could come from you're working for your vendors and not for yourself. So you're falling victim to, oh, if you buy 15 syringes, I'll give you 2.5 for free. You're not working for your vendors. You're working for yourself, and they should be working for you too. And another pricing leak is I want you to audit every single service quarterly, and I want you to ensure that your pricing reflects real consumable and labor costs. So I'm telling you, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in today's coaching call, but a financial analysis by category is crucial. My team, when I was boots on the ground, I'd walk around with my laptop once a quarter and I'd say, on average, how many pieces of gauze are you using? How many pumps of alcohol are you using? And I would have estheticians and injectors look at me like, are you insane? I have no idea. And I'm like, well, I really need you to tell me because I need to know what my COGS are. So if you have not done that, I need you to do it as soon as possible. And I want you to do that every quarter. And the large piece of the pie of that is going to be the first time around that you do it. Every time after that, it's just going to be tweaking and updating numbers. So number two, this is going to be your second hidden profit killer. This is going to be your scheduling leaks. So every empty 30-minute block on your schedule, that's a profit leak. I want you to automate your reminders, your rebooking prompts, and your follow-ups. And if your schedule is not 85 to 90% full, your team is not efficient and your systems are not optimized. So how can we fix this? Let me just quickly off the top of my head. If I were to go in when I was still boots on the ground and I saw some holes in my calendar, my girls knew exactly what to do to fill in those gaps. They knew the three places that they should be looking before I even noticed that there were holes in my calendar. So by the time I did notice, if they weren't already corrected, I would go up to my front desk and I would say, hey, and they would stop me right away and they'd be like, I already looked at the wait list. I already posted on Instagram. I called X, Y, and Z because, she's a top spender. She'll always come in. I've been able to fill 2 out of the 5 gaps, just waiting on the last 3 right now to confirm. They knew where to tap in because my systems were optimized. They didn't have to come to me and say, hey, I just noticed Cassandra's schedule is kind of falling apart here a little bit. What do you want me to do? And then having that conversation with them every single day, I prepared my team. They knew exactly where to start. They saw those holes, knew I wouldn't like them, and they know how to jump and they know how to do it fast. And even better, I would incentivize them for it. So when we would track these holes, and if they were able to fill in these gaps by 80% by the end of the month, I'd give them a gift card, or I would take them out to dinner, or I would give them a performance bonus because we want to incentivize them for taking action that quickly. Okay, number three. This is going to be your third leak here. This is going to be your inventory leak. So we talk about this one a lot. Your inventory should really turn every 30 to 60 days. It should turn over every 30 to 60 days. If you are sitting on product any longer than that, you're sitting on cash. You're at risk of it expiring, especially those vitamins. I want you to negotiate quarterly rebates. I want you to look at consignment options or free product credits. And most time vendors have programs that you are not taking advantage of. So when I say, and I make this joke a lot, that you're falling victim to, oh, buy 15 and I'll give you 2.5 for free. Sometimes those programs are in your best interest, but you just have to know when to pull the trigger on those and at the right time. So if your inventory doesn't allow for you to buy 15 because you're going to sit on them for 4.5 years, they're going to expire, then don't bite at that one. But maybe every once in a while they've got a rebate option or they have a training incentive. Most vendors have programs that are going to suit your needs that you're not taking advantage of. Okay. So now that we've kind of covered the most of our bases, let's talk a little bit about stability because that's all, we're looking for major profit efficiency and we want that to be stable. So the most efficient med spas, they are stable and predictable. They know what is coming every month because they use that 10-20-70. So that is the key to financial freedom. So here are some of our revenue stabilizers because you know what? There are going to be times where it's around the 4th of July and your books might be a little bit empty. So how do we create stability? And it's going to be through these three things. Number one is your membership. Number two is your retail. And number three is your events. So your membership should be about 15 to 20% or 25% actually, 15 to 25% of your monthly revenue. Your retail should be 15 to 20% of your monthly revenue. And there's a saying, you guys, that you can retire in retail, and it is so true. If your team is not selling retail, we need to get them on that. And events should be generating pre-selling actually revenue before the doors even open. So these are going to be your stabilizers. So if you know you're going to have a little bit of dip in July, I would start planning an event around that time. So that way you can kind of stabilize some things. So just a real world example, one of my clients recently just hosted a VIP only event. And she generated before the doors even opened, I think like $70,000. And then by the end of the total event, we had 178. We had $178,000. It was 4 hours. That was a 4-hour event. And that's because 80% of the sales happened before the event through pre-selling. That's efficient revenue because if we didn't do that, then way more people are going to show up. Our team doesn't have the capacity to have those conversations and it creates chaos. So predictability is always going to equal peace. Peace is always going to equal profit because you are prepared, okay? Because there is a leadership discipline that is required. So very quickly, I want you to step into your CEO power. You do not scale by accident. You hear me say this all the time. You scale by design. When you know your numbers, you are scaling by design. Profit efficiency is not about cutting corners. It's tightening your system. Systems matter. It's about turning your business into a well-oiled machine that is going to make money when you are not in the room. So here are your very quick 5 action steps I want to leave you with. Number 1, audit your pricing and plug in any margin leaks. Number 2, run your P&L. Find where your profit is hiding. Number 3, set weekly KPI reviews. Weekly, you want to give your team little touch bases on where they're at. Number 4, choose one reoccurring revenue stream to strengthen. If your memberships are falling short, if your retail is falling short, choose one reoccurring revenue stream to really tighten up. And number 5, this one's very important. Step out of operator mode. Step out of manager mindset. Step into your CEO mode. Step into architect mode. When you understand your numbers and when you lead with clarity is when your business is going to run efficiently. You are not just going to grow, you are going to scale. This is the moment to step into your CEO power that your business needs. No more chaos, no more guesswork, 10-20-70, clarity, control, and profit efficiency. So let's go ahead and create a med spa that does both. All right, perfect timing here. I want to give you guys a bonus. Audit your tech stacks. If you haven't looked at your tech stacks lately, they should be hiding in your P&L, but audit your tech stack. Quickly here. Hello, Mercedes. Hello, Joseph. Hi, Raquel. Socials by Sierra. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm a little bit tight on time, so we'll skip questions today. If you do have any questions, you guys, reach out to Diamond Accelerator, set up a free strategy session. If you loved this training, make sure you share it with your team, share it with another med spa that could benefit. You can always catch the replay on our YouTube channel. To get access to more free trainings like this that's going to help your med spa grow, visit our link tree in our social bio. Make sure you join us live every single Wednesday, 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Standard time, same place. Find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I hope you guys have a wonderful